Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I read a very good book. I didn't read it. But yes, Too Much and Never Enough by Mary L. Trump, PhD. I found the audiobook on YouTube for free. I was surprised. It just came up. It's 7 hours and 3 minutes, but I listened to the whole thing. I'd listened to a lot of interviews with Mary, some an hour long, some 30, 40 minutes long, because I really wanted to know about Donald Trump. And I wasn't expecting to buy the audiobook, and I wasn't going to go out and physically get the actual book. So I was really surprised and relieved to find it was available on YouTube. It appears to be official. It's been up for a week. It's not like someone put it up and they've just made a copy of it or something. So it's actually written by Mary L. Trump. So it's just it's nothing better than having the author read the book, or in the case of fiction, having with like characters that are in movies or something like Star Trek, having the characters actually read the books. So this is pretty good. There was another version that was read by a automated machine or something. I don't know where that came from, but I actually found that first, but it sounded awful, and then I realized Mary's one was available. So actually she wasn't prompted. It was actually the other one, but then I found that. So I'm not surprised really by anything in the book. Actually, no, there were a few little moments that were like, oh my God, your mouth drops open a little bit. Actually, I think I did have a few moments of my mouth wide open, like, are you serious? But she goes through everything from when she was very, very young right through to the epilogue is basically talking about today. She must have written it like the day that went to the publisher. Oh my. The Trumps. I'm not shocked by their family psychology. I can't relate to it because I didn't grow up rich, obviously. I've never been rich. I don't think I'd ever want to be rich because it absolutely I think it ruins people. I think the fear of losing this wealth and power and importance that money brings people can really destroy people. I mean, Fred Trump, Donald's father, he was just a monster. She describes him as a sociopath, and she goes into all this in a lot of detail, and I don't really doubt any of it. There's plenty of tell-all books where you sort of know people are just sort of engaging in things for drama and shock, but I don't think she is, and I don't think she even needs to. Just the callous treatment of Donald's brother, Freddie, who basically wasn't good enough. And it's kind of fascinating because I never understood. I kind of want to go straight into this, but I mean, with Freddie, and that basically her father was never happy with her father. Her grandfather was never happy with her father, and always preferred Donald. And they basically destroyed his life because to exist in that sort of pressure and that sort of treatment and not being valued in any way other than your financial, your wealth and what you can actually bring to the table, basically what you can do for the family business, and if you can't, you're basically worthless. That idea that money is the only currency and the only value, and just hearing that exemplified and explained, and all the personal stories was really disturbing. I don't want to even try and cover them all because I just want this to be a short review, but I would hate to think someone would just listen to a 10-15 minute video and then not listen to the book. So I wouldn't want to contribute to that, but that's okay because I just do little blog things. But wow, the main thing with Donald was I didn't understand because when I saw my main understanding of Donald Trump came through The Apprentice, and I think a lot of people did. I knew this guy Trump existed. He was like a real estate businessman. He was very rich. When I was growing up, I had some awareness of him, and then The Apprentice came on, and I watched like the first season with the evil Omarosa, and you got to see him in this play this character, which is what he's doing. He's playing a character, and that's what I thought he was. And then I heard afterwards, after he became president, about the 5 bankruptcies, or was it 6 bankruptcies, or 7, or I don't know, more than 5. And I didn't understand how this happened. I heard that because he always proclaimed to be a self-made man, that his father just gave him one loan, and he, took it and made a whole industry out of it, and all this. And that's not the case. That's a myth. That's a lie. But he tells a lot of lies, so it's not really surprising. Basically, what happened, and this is the fascinating part for me, was Donald's father had some problems in the real estate area. He was very successful, and then he had some problems, and he had to basically stop working on some, really. But he was never good with people. He didn't have the sort of arrogance and forcefulness that, and I guess charisma on some level, that Donald had. So he always envied that or valued that in Donald, and he knew that he could work Donald like a puppet. He could send him out on all these little missions, on all these little, I lost the words, but all these contracts and things and plans to build businesses, buildings and stuff. And he could have him do all the work, take all the credit for it, but it's okay because, basically he was getting most of the money because it was his business, his work. And Donald was just like a puppet. So he kept sending Donald out, funding him, supporting him, doing everything for him for a long time. And that's how Donald basically got his reputation and was able to... it's hard to explain. She does it so well, but basically he kept him afloat, and then the banks started doing it. And then once they'd started doing it, once they created this Frankenstein monster, they had to keep it alive, and he had to keep it alive, and Fred had to keep it alive because he couldn't let anyone see the man behind the curtain. He couldn't let anyone see the cracks. So they had to keep, in a way, feeding Donald's ego and his delusions, because otherwise they'd have to admit they gave an incompetent man who couldn't run a business all this money. And the banks put him on like an allowance and all this stuff for years so he could... he just kept failing up, and every time he'd fail, someone would rescue him and give him more money because they just believed in him. And it's just fascinating because she goes through, 7 hours, she goes through so much of his business dealings because eventually her father died and they were still sort of part of the family. Then when the grandfather died, the grandfather didn't want anything going to his children. So what should have gone to him should have gone to his children, but they tried to block them out. They went to court. When they went to court, they undervalued his whole estate, and eventually Mary actually went through and she gave all the... through discovery, she got a whole lot of the Trump's business dealings and paperwork, and she got all that. She eventually went through it all and gave it to I think the Times or a newspaper, and they did a large expose, and that's when she worked out all of that side of things. And it did sort of explain a lot of how Donald managed to do all this, how he managed to just keep failing, losing money. The man lost money in casinos. That's virtually impossible. The house always wins, but Donald's didn't. And part of that was because, and I didn't understand how that happened as well, and I'm so glad that it was finally explained. He treated the casino business that he was trying to go into the same way he did the real estate business, where he just tried to build more and more and more, and then his own casinos were competing against each other. And I'm like, how dumb are you that you just go into a different business and and try and apply all the rules from another business model. It didn't work. So I finally know why he went bankrupt. I finally know how he basically was created, and how he kept afloat all these years. And then it sort of also got to the point where Fred Trump was had dementia, and he was starting to believe his own lies about Donald and was giving him money. So that it was fascinating. It was disturbing. It was sad. Mary seems fairly well adjusted. She has a daughter. She seems to have a life. So she survived being a Trump, basically. She was treated fairly shabbily for a long time. Then she was kicked out of the family, basically, and disinherited. And they tried to... They played dirty, of course. They cut off their medical insurance, which had nothing to do with the money and nothing to gain except just hurting them. And you just hear all the dramas and all that. But eventually she got invited to somebody's wedding. I can't remember whose wedding it was. And then she got invited to the White House after Donald was elected. And a lot of people are criticizing her, like, why didn't you do this sooner? She was very disempowered, because when you are raised in this sort of environment where you have no value, basically, you're considered worthless because you're the child of a worthless child, you sort of don't really believe in yourself and believe you can do anything. It took her a long time to realize she actually had the information and ability to actually help expose Donald Trump and the Trumps for what they are. Might have helped had she done it before, but I hope it helps now. I really hope a lot of people read this book or listen to the audiobook and see exactly why this person should not be in the White House, is totally incapable of doing the job, which is why he's done such a bad job and why over 150,000 Americans are dead, because he just decided to stick his head in the sand about the coronavirus pandemic and just focus on his base and telling them what they want to hear. But I'm not going to go into Trump. I'm just glad I got to see everything that was in the book. I'm glad that I might have bought the audiobook anyway, just because there's no way I'd have the time to read the book. But thanks to YouTube, and I'm guessing Mary basically she's not as concerned about money as she is about people just getting the information. That's why she allowed it to be free, I'm guessing, because not a lot. I don't encounter a lot of audiobooks for free, officially. Normally it's just people record them and copyright doesn't get rid of it. So I'm going to go. I just wanted to share that just because if you haven't read it, read it. If you haven't heard the audiobook, listen to it. It's shocking, but not so much that it's outrageous and unbelievable. It's all disturbingly real. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the book. Yeah. I might listen to it again because there's so much information. It was hard to focus on it and keep it all in my head. But I'm going to go.